This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent professors, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
May I come in, sir?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon, sir.
Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Jeenu. I have done my basic schooling from the coastal city of Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh. Thereafter, I have done my graduation in computer science and engineering from IIT Kanpur. Then I have worked for 3 years in the camera department of Samsung R&D Bengaluru, which included a 6-month stint in South Korea. Coming to civil service examination, I have been allotted Indian Railway Management Service last year and Indian Postal Service the year before. My hobbies are analytical cricket blogging and stage choreography, sir.
Should I intervene?
Sir.
Don't say so much. Your name?
Jaswanth.
Which place? Nahi.
Okay.
Which place you hail from? What are you, briefly your education qualification? Hobby we are not asking now. Okay, now my point is, you are from IIT Kanpur.
Sir.
IIT Kanpur has been ranked as one of the best IITs. Of late now it has shifted to Delhi. But after coming into a prestigious institution like Kanpur, IIT, why you went for 4 chances going into Indian Postal Service? How your knowledge will be utilized in Indian Postal Service and other things? Why? What is the reason?
Sir, after graduation, I worked at Samsung R&D Bengaluru, and the thing which made me work every day was the real world impact of the thing which I was making. The features deployed by me being used by people around me. And civil service provides me avenue to do the same in a broader set of areas. And coming to your point regarding the knowledge, usage of knowledge, definitely in this era of digitization, where every aspect of our life is being digitized, the knowledge of computer science can surely be used in governance in whichever service I'll go to.
No, that is all right.
Mm-hmm.
I will not go into statistics. Government of India spends a lot of money for IIT students. Now, this much of money being spent, you have blocked another person coming into IIT because you got recruited. Now you come here. Is it not a wastage of money for the government, first? Second, in your search for, it is a late realization that this service provides you so much of scope, you come. So, how do you justify it?
Justifying the move, sir?
Justify your appearing civil service, switching over, coming to postal service and this thing.W do you justify it? Leaving a knowledge bank you have got in IIT Kanpur, you could have gone anywhere and you can also do the good to the people in IIT. Even people in our batch have left the service and joined Tata and these other things. Please tell me in a brief.
So, coming to your first point you asked regarding wastage of resource, I believe resources are not wasted as long as I am working for the nation or for the government. And even the knowledge I acquired in IIT Kanpur will be deployed in whichever service I go to. And moreover, the intangible qualities I acquired there during my 4-year stay will be used here. And coming to the justification part, I think it's my personal inclination to do this, and I believe I can contribute in a positive manner to civil services as well, sir. So yes, private sector does have many wonderful opportunities, but the venues provided by civil services, which is an opportunity to work in diverse set of areas, and the opportunity scope to innovate, getting a personal touch, etc., they attract me to civil services, and I believe I can do justice to it, sir.
One point, there is a system, there is a provision in civil service. Suppose you get recruited into any service, IAS, IPS. If you leave the service during the period or immediately thereafter you have to pay back all the money your government has spent on you. So that thing should be made applicable to IIT people, or any bond they should write that they should not be allowed to appear for 3-4 years for these things. What do you think?
Sir, with respect to this, the first point, I can think of 2 points. First, wastage of resources, and as I already previously justified, I don't think the resources are being
No, I'm
wasted.
not telling that. I'm telling
Yes, sir.
there is a system
Yes, sir. Yes.
in civil service. You get recruited in civil service. You want to leave halfway
Yes,
through. Then you have to pay back the entire money government has spent on you to the government. Should that system be introduced in IIT and others?
Sir, I believe such a system should not be introduced in IIT based on my understanding. Based on, I can think of 2-3 points. First, the choice of graduation made at an age of 18 should not tie down in individuals' choices in the future. And second point, IITs are not just technical nature, but it's an opportunity for students to find themselves, to explore various opportunities, various fields of interest, and find the field in which they're passionate about. And I believe students will do better in the field which they're passionate about, rather than forcing them to work in a field which they might not be interested in.
Nobody is forcing. By your option, you went for IIT. Anyway, now coming. Do you know there is a theory called Maslow theory of motivation? What is that? How is it applicable for India?
Sir, Maslow's theory of, he proposed a pyramid in which the successive needs are met. First, at the basic level, there would be the physical needs of food, shelter, etc., security and all. And the top and then as we progress the pyramid, there will be better levels, like self-realization would come at the top. So I'm forgetting 2-3 levels in between, so please excuse me for that.
That is security needs.
Security needs.
It is first is basic needs, hunger, thirst. Second is security needs. And if these two are satiated, then you go for higher realization. How it is applicable for India?
Sir, in India, the goal of a government should be to enable all its citizens to strive for higher levels in the Maslow's pyramid. Currently, we have some vulnerable sections who are still stuck at the basic levels. So it's our responsibility to uplift them. And those who are at the top levels, it's also our responsibility to ensure they can achieve, each individual can achieve his or her highest potential.
You understood the theory, but you just put it head down. The Indian context, this basic theory tells, unless until poverty is eradicated, security need is best, no higher this thing is possible. So the first priority for any government is poverty eradication. Yes, that should be the first priority. Unemployment, poverty, that will satiate the basic things, thirst, hunger and security needs. This done, other things follow. Because you don't have financial problem, then you go for studies. Now what happens is drop out in the schools. Because the extra force collects the food and other things for this thing. Why they will send the girl or the boy to the school? So this is the point. Second, Mahatma Gandhi told, Mahatma Gandhi is an advocate of non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi told poverty is the worst form of violence. How do you interpret it? This was in UPSC, this question. 2, 3, 5, 4 years back.
Sir, violence, at least as per my
You try to read between the lines. Poverty is the worst form of violence. How do you interpret it?
Sir, as per my interpretation, I can think of as poverty deprives individuals of the opportunities. And if we as individuals and as a society are not doing enough to uplift the vulnerable sections, then it's an injustice for them for being born in that environment. So that is paramount to violence against their rights, because they would not be able to achieve even their basic needs. So as a society, it's our responsibility to reach the last mile and serve the most vulnerable sections. So that's what I can interpret from the quote.
You are near it, but you have not touched it.
Okay, sir.
When an area is violence hit, people don't get food. People are in they don't get drinking water, security. Like poverty also does the same thing as violence hit. Yeah. So in poverty, when it is affecting somebody, they don't get food, they don't get adequate livelihood, these things. So it is our form of violence.
Thank you, sir.
Now last I will do before I transfer it to others. Amartya Sen, what is Amartya Sen? Because now 2 people are getting Nobel Prizes on poverty only. The latest one Abhijit and this previous one was Amartya. I don't believe much in Abhijit. But what is Amartya Sen? He gave a new dimensions to poverty. What is that? Concept of poverty.
Sir, he gave a capability approach to poverty, which says that poverty can measure in the levels to which a person is able to achieve his or her capabilities, to enhance in his or her capabilities, the opportunities available.
That's all, only.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall much, but it centers around this concept
That
of
is
giving
capability
individuals.
theory, that is right. But he differentiated between absolute poverty and relative poverty.
Okay, sir.
The relative poverty is not being able to manage your livelihood. There can be absolute poverty. That was the Amartya Sen's concept. Anyway, my point is, you are from which place? Andhra.
Yes, sir.
Where, the dichotomy is very much. People are stinkingly rich, and people are abjectly in poverty. Why this dichotomy is there? And what the government there should do to bridge this gap?
So the reasons for dichotomy are multifold. First is a social reason, due to which marginalization of subsections historically has resulted in them being downtrodden, and hence the difference. Second is an economic dimension, in which on one hand we have highly earning individuals and high net worth families, and on the other hand we have jobs in which even the minimum wages are not met. And third aspect is governance, in which due to governance issues, bureaucratic issues, leakages, etc., we are unable to serve the last man properly. So these are the reasons why the dichotomy exists. And the way to bridge this dichotomy is, again, it should be multifold, addressing each of these issues. One, economically, we can ensure equitable distribution of wealth. Socially, we need to ensure adequate opportunity for every citizen, be it in health, education, etc. Governance, using technology, we need to eliminate leakages, etc., so that every citizen of the society is being served. And on an overall level, we need massive employment generation, leveraging the unique locational advantages of that place, so that every individual can have a decent livelihood and access to opportunities. Thank you, sir.
Jaswanth.
Sir.
Okay. Jaswanth, you are continuing in which service right now?
Sir, currently I am in Indian Railway Management Service.
IRMS. Okay. So you are undergoing training there?
I am on EOL, sir.
You are in EOL. Okay, fine. And you trained in postal service also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. You have a hobby of analytical cricket blogging. How do you practice it? Do you write your own blog?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the recent thing you have written about?
Sir, recently I have written about memorable moments. So I have a series called Memorable Moments. In that, the 18.5 6 of Virat Kohli 6 to Harris Rauf in the T20 World Cup. So analyzing why such moments become memorable. So I've written a blog on that, sir. How that moment is memorable.
Okay. In our cricket team, right, our captain, so at times he has given some statements which has generated a lot of debate. Okay, like when we were playing in South Africa, he said that in India pitches are called as puff of dust. But when the same thing happens in South Africa, nobody says anything. So what is your assessment? Should a leader make such statements which generate debate? Or is it fine if we are airing our grievances? What do you think?
Sir, it is a nuanced situation. It depends on the context in which it is being made. For example, if it is a sensitive issue, he might take it up with the required authorities and not make it a debate of social media. But in this example, I personally, based on my understanding, I believe there are some double standards where when the test match finishes in 2 days overseas, it is viewed as failure of batters, whereas in India, enough credit is not given to the bowlers. So yes, to correct this interpretation, which is happening on a massive level, both by ex-cricketers and by fans, I don't think in this situation it's wrong for a captain to come out and air it publicly.
Okay, fine. And you have also been awarded in Samsung for something related to big data.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we say data is the new oil, okay, what are we signifying?
Sir, we are signifying two things. First, primarily when the statement was made in 2006, it refined that data in its raw form is useless unless it's processed properly. Hence, data is the new oil. And in the current scenario, we say data is the new oil because it is becoming one of the most valuable commodities and being monetized. So hence we can say data is the new oil in the current context.
Okay. And you come from Andhra Pradesh.
Sir.
Now in Andhra Pradesh this year, assembly elections will also be held along with the general elections. What are important social issues for the people of the state, particularly when it comes to the state government, that they will consider?
Sir, the issues I can think of, first, there are complaints regarding employment generation, that the current government has followed a scheme of welfare-centered scheme, including a lot of DBT schemes, but there are complaints that there hasn't been enough employment generation. So that will be one issue. Second would be the capital issue, lack of consensus over a capital, and the associated issues with it, be the land acquisition, or farmers being aggrieved in Amravati, or lack of investments due to policy clarity. So this will be the second issue. And the third issue, I can think overall lack of development in the whole region. I can think of that issue, sir. And so I can think of these issues.
Okay, fine. Jaswanth, your mother is a school assistant, right? And you have also prepared for JEE, you have done well, okay? When it comes to this whole cycle of preparation for entrance exams, right, there are a lot of issues that we are witnessing in Kota and in Andhra Pradesh also. A lot of students prepare, right? And unfortunately, there are instances in Kota of student suicides, in other places also. So, where do you think we are failing, and what is the recourse for it? As an administrator, how do you address this issue? Suppose if you are posted in such a district where there is a prevalence of coaching institutes, a lot of students are preparing for entrance exams. So what would be your approach towards this issue?
Sir, regarding the first part of the question, regards to why it is happening, it is because of the narrow perception of life, both by students and parents, where failure in exam is interpreted as failure in life. So coming to the resource of it, I will take a two-pronged approach. First is to stop the suicides. So for that, we need awareness generation among students, having volunteers placed, community-based volunteers, community-based approach, having mental health counselors, destigmatizing mental health, etc. So that this suicides and so students are not hesitant to seek help and suicides may be prevented. Second approach is widening the perception, giving them counseling both students and teachers about the options available in careers, so that they might not take such hasty steps and think of a better way.
Okay. And you have studied computer science, right? There is a lot of discussion on generative AI, right? Do you think that this technology has some usage in administration also, where we can use it?
So generative AI does have a lot of advantages and we need to integrate in administration. First, it can be used as advisories for information dissemination, be it maybe a personal advisory for agriculture, for farmers, based on the context they are living in, based on their locational conditions, etc. Second, we can use it for grievance redressal, where the incoming queries, we can have chatbots for grievance redressal, which can direct the queries accordingly. So that is another usage. And third, using generative AI, we can use ad campaigns, etc. for information dissemination, for awareness generation, be it for multiple social issues, like even the one suicides we have talked earlier. So for running such social campaigns, we can use generative AI, sir. So I can think of these at the moment.
Okay. You are in IRMS, right?
Yes.
What is now both the budgets are integrated. Okay, we just have one budget. So what is the percentage of our spending on railways?
Sir, sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall the exact number. I'll study it. Sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Jaswanth, what is your idea of Bharat going forward? How do you see India, Bharat?
Madam, India, that is Bharat. So going forward, I can see it in 3-4 facets. First, economically prosperous, being one of the largest economies in the world. Second, socially prosperous, where we uplift every last man or woman. Third, technologically vibrant, where we are the forefront in technologies in the world. And fourth, culturally proud, where we are proud of our civilization links and we celebrate our cultural heritage.
Okay. And so there's also been talks about Viksit Bharat. Do you think that's possible? Do you think we'll be able to make it?
Madam, we need to aim before we can achieve it.
Okay.
So I would much rather be optimistic about it.
So are our policies aligned with India becoming Viksit Bharat?
Yes, madam. We are doing a lot on various fronts, be it on the economic front, PLI, and focusing on industries. On the technological front, be it semiconductor mission, artificial intelligence, we are thinking ahead. And even on social front, be it our food subsidy schemes, agriculture, PM Kisan, etc. We are taking a holistic approach, madam. But again, as anything, it's not perfect. We need to do much more. We need to optimize things much more, so that our vision of Viksit Bharat.
Now, what needs to be done more?
So again, we can discuss the same fronts, madam. In economy, I believe we are lagging in the industrial. If we had to point out one thing, we are lagging in the industrial sector. So we can have agro-based MSMEs because we have rich agriculture. We can have MSMEs related with it, say coconut coir-based industries or rice, which make rice drinks, etc. Second, on the technological front, we can have collaborations with Western countries as well as promote our own indigenous technologies like Bharat GPT, Bhashini, etc.
Okay.
Third, on the social front, we need to education. We have achieved accessibility, but the next step would be achieving learning outcomes and critical thinking. So we are the forefront. And finally, cultural, we need to celebrate our cultural heritage and promote our soft power in the world through yoga or through our diaspora, so that Indian culture is respected by world and more by ourselves as well.
Okay. Now there's been a shift towards AI, and in the years to come, it's going to be very definitive. So is there a need for skill development and focusing on skills within the context of artificial intelligence as well?
Madam, yes, with the danger of automation, there is a need for skill development. However, the vital thing in the age of AI is not what skill to learn, but how to learn that skill. So we need to train individuals on how to acquire skills, and our education system should be modeled accordingly, so that even if a sector gets disrupted by AI, individuals can re-educate themselves and launch another career.
Good. Okay. Now, my question to you is regarding One Nation, One Vote. How far do you agree, or do you believe that this should be there? If yes, why or why not?
Yes, madam, we can go forward with it, One Nation, One Election, because it creates a heavy expenditure to conduct various elections, and parties have perpetually to remain in electioneering mode. However, it also needs to be coupled with voter awareness programs, so that regional issues are not ignored. And again, we need to figure out the modalities, etc., of president's rule, of synchronizing the election cycle. That needs to be done at a federal level, including which needs a consensus with center and the states as well.
Okay. Now, when you say that it's going to be easier, especially in terms of finances, the financial cost will come down. India is also the largest democracy. And as the largest democracy, I believe that the cost of our elections is not that high. So is that a valid reason for one election, one nation?
Madam, that's not the only reason. As I
Okay.
also said,
Okay.
it also includes party governance being much more streamlined and not being in electioneering mode. And the second thing, even with cost saving as well, we need to save wherever we can so that we can invest the rest in Viksit
Even
Bharat.
at the cost of democracy. Okay. My celebrity culture is very common amongst the officers. You're also yourself in service. But where we have reels, Instagram reels, YouTube shorts of officers. So how far do you agree with it, and where do you stand?
Madam, officers should have the right of freedom of speech and expression. That's what I believe. Even on social, and in this age of social media, having social media profiles and being active on them can help them be in touch with the public and help in information dissemination. However, it should not lead to virality and chasing social media clout. So that's not something advisable for officers, because it can lead to wrong ways to popularize themselves. So but instead of restrictions, we need a positive nudge theory, positive nudges, maybe a model, SOP, etc. So that behavior automatically judged by the community themselves rather than through any regulation.
Okay. Now you first were selected in postal service, then IRMS, and now you've opted for a couple of services. So let us say you're allotted revenue service. Would you write the exam again? You're still eligible for one more attempt.
Yes,
write the exam again and then choose IAS.
I'll make a decision based on after the exam cycle is over, ma'am. Currently, since I'm in UL, I suppose I'll be writing it.
Okay. My last question to you is that we see, so India has Vedic maths, but we also see abacus and Kumon and several other similar systems. But Vedic maths per se is not so famous. Why? And how do we change that?
Madam, coming to Vedic maths, at least as per my limited understanding, we haven't yet capitalized on its full potential.
Yes.
On the lines of how abacus is done in other countries, etc. So we can introduce maybe Vedic mathematics. We can introduce children to Vedic mathematics. Maybe have a chapter in education curriculum so that they are at least exposed. And the purpose of Vedic mathematics, more than the calculation part, it's about sharpening the brain so that children are more comfortable with mathematics rather than fearing it. So yes, ma'am, that can be one of the ways to achieve it, and we can explore more about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Jaswanth.
Hello, sir.
So you have worked in Samsung. What are all the domains in which Samsung is present, or they have operations, or they have presence?
Sir, Samsung has footprints in various domains. First, the most popular one is the mobile segment, which are electronics, which is Samsung, which comes under Samsung Electronics, along with tablets, computers, etc.
Yes.
And the rest, they mostly have their presence in South Korea for other domains, which is they have a shipbuilding factory, they have amusement park, which they run an Everland amusement park, and they also have they have an insurance company, and there are many more verticals. So I'm currently unable to recall them.
Okay. And do you think there is an Indian equivalent of Samsung?
So currently, Reliance is also expanding its footprint. If that's what we think of, it has its footprint telecommunication through Jio. It has Reliance Smarts, and so yes, sir, and petrochemical industry, etc. So I can see Reliance.
Okay. So yeah, there are examples. So do you think that big conglomerates are good for the economy?
Sir, it depends on the extent to which a big conglomerate can influence the economy and the polity of a country. For example, in case of South Korea, there is a controversy because Samsung alone contributes 15% of GDP. It has a little more than ideal say in politics of the country, which led to the imprisonment of the former president's son, I suppose. So I think that's something which needs to be controlled. And as long as there is anti-competition, so ideal competition exists in the market, and the conglomerates have an ideal say, it is actually beneficial for the growth of our economy.
If you see in Indian context also, in the political discourse, if we see, there is a constant criticism, at least from certain sections, that some corporate houses, they are constantly denigrated and they are constantly being criticized, and it is said that government is also supporting certain houses, business houses. So how far do you think that criticism is valid, and do you think that it also shows the somewhere we are still caught up in socialist mindset, because we say that business houses are essentially bad. The implication is that, the interpretation is that.
So coming to socialist mindset, I don't think we are caught up in socialist mindset. But even in a capitalist economy, it's not ideal for the businesses to influence the polity of a country and which influence the democracy of country. And with respect to the big conglomerates, I cannot comment on the exact extent, but I do believe we have enough checks and balances.
Okay, like you said that they should not have an influence, but if you see there are pressure groups from each and every section. There are farmers who are protesting and they are in a way trying to influence the government. We see that as a positive. We say that they are trying to influence the government because there are certain demands that are not being fulfilled. Same argument can be extended for corporate houses as well. They demand or they want a favorable policy that can help them expand. And certainly there are positive externalities. If there are business houses, if the business is growing, certainly it will create employment opportunities. So why do you see this contrast in our approach when we say that one kind of protest is good, the other kind of thing is, there is so much criticism? Certainly they have also a right to influence the government. That is not, I don't think that's illegal or that is something that is not positive.
Sir, there's a line between influencing through pressure groups and crony capitalism. And with respect to as I said, there should be ideal say. So yes, pressure groups business groups have their right to voice the grievances to the government, and using their expertise, they can actually suggest policy changes which have happened in the past as well. But that should not be electioning the democracy, be through electoral funding or quid pro quo, so that the sanctity of democracy is compromised. So it has to be in a limit. Sir.
Okay, so what was the issue basically with the electoral bonds? For example, in US there is lobbying, and it is legal. It's legally it's not something that is discouraged there. It's perfectly legal. So do you think that there is a big contrast between India and US in this approach?
So with respect to lobbying, I'm not sure about the funding rules of US. But
the disclosure norms are basically
yes,
very strong. You have to disclose
yes,
how much you have received from which.
Yes, sir. About $200 they have to disclose if I'm right. So yes, that's exactly what is happening in India as well. We are not preventing anyone from donating political parties, but we are mandating transparency through the recent judgment. So I think there's no contrast here. We are also following the same one.
So if there is a transparency in the electoral bond scheme, do you think that otherwise it was okay? If the transparency clause is added to this scheme, do you think it can be introduced back?
So so we can definitely, because we cannot stop electoral funding all of us, we need to devise a mechanism. And the mechanism, yes, electoral bonds going through digital means have solved the black money problem. And the second problem is transparency. So if we can solve it, maybe with small variations, I believe we can try to reintroduce it maybe.
Okay. Thank you, Jaswanth. That's all from my side. I'll pass on to Vijay.
Now coming to summing up your things, there are 2-3 things. Don't take long pauses. Pause can be very brief. Taking long pauses means you are ruminating, you are thinking. There is lack of coordination and lack of preparation. So you be prepared with your subjects and everything. Like they will definitely ask you why you have come from IIT, why you have not done. Truth is you have come for the glamour of the service. But you are camouflaging it by telling that this is a thing. But how, even if you tell a lie, how best you can tell a lie, it appears as a truth. First. Second, when you are addressing some of the members, give attention to others. You are not having a dialogue with them or him or with me. You should have attention to others. That means you are equally attentive to every member. You are not it is an interview board, it's not your friendship talks.